Why, hello there, and welcome back to the ASMR critique. My name's Joseph, and this is just going to be a quick and dirty video. I didn't have that much time to prep for it. I had hoped that I could have a full-on script written, but this is just going to be totally off the cuff because I don't have much time. I really wanted to talk about the new StarFox game for Switch 2. Of course, I say new, but it's a remake of this game. Arguably one of the greatest games of all time. I would say certainly my favorite game from the Nintendo 64 era, in the sense that the gameplay holds up so well. But it's always been a little bit hampered by sort of the technical limitations of the N64 console. Now, you know, they did bring it to 3DS, and they changed up the multiplayer, improved the textures. It had a lot of great things going for it, but playing that game on the 3DS Circle Pad was just absolutely not the best. So I'm just so glad they finally came out with this amazing new 60 FPS version of the game. And I just wanted to make a video addressing the sort of comments and concerns I've been seeing from a lot of fans online. I heard a lot of discourse from people saying that, why do we need another remake of StarFox 64? It's a perfect game as is, just leave it alone. I even had a friend say, it's a 3DS game, as if there's no room for improvement whatsoever. And yeah, I do see that argument. Why make the same game again with the same level designs? You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there really is something to be said for sort of bringing it up to a modern standard, having a very fully realized version of what could only be dreamt of back in 1997. And sort of the other point that I really wanted to make is that by supporting this game for Switch 2, it's a message to Nintendo that there is still a market for the more hardcore game experiences that we used to get all the time. I'm talking about games like F-Zero X and F-Zero GX, even games like Pilot Wings, Wave Race, the 1080 games, the Excite games, even the more recent games like Astral Chain and Bayonetta 2 and 3, they really didn't sell as well as they probably should have, given the quality of the games. It could be that most people who buy Nintendo consoles are more into the casual games, and that's just an unfortunate reality. It's kind of crazy to me that Metroid Prime 4, which I don't consider to be a very good game at all, but it kind of suffered so badly that probably the combined sales of Switch 1 and Switch 2 either didn't crack 1 million or barely cracked 1 million, which is just completely insane for such a big budget game. And, you know, you can blame that on a lot of factors. Blame it on the delay, blame it on Tanabe, Retro Studios, but the fact remains that the fans did not come out and support that game. So that's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to talk about StarFox 64 today. And just make a point that there really is a demand out there. And if we want more experiences similar to this game, we should really try and show Nintendo. Just, you know, vote with our wallets, basically. I mean, you know, granted, even the follow-ups to the Star Fox 64, you had Star Fox Adventures, you know, by Rare, a very different sort of take on the genre. Has a lot of fans, and there hasn't really been much of a follow-up to that. And Star Fox Assault, of course, which is going for crazy prices on eBay right now because Nintendo has not officially released that game in any capacity. So, you know, if I were working at Nintendo, I would maybe think about, well, hey, we've got this online service, got the GameCube games, and they're basically drip feeding us games, which, you know, I don't have much time to play games these days, but I have been working through Chibi Robo, which is a lot of fun, but I would just absolutely love to see those Star Fox games on there. Yeah, since I'm bringing out Star Fox memorabilia. This is part of the old Club Nintendo 4-pack dog tag set. I was, you know, I'm the oldest brother, so I was peppy. Anyhow, you know, we want to see a sequel sooner rather than later to this new Star Fox game. And I really hope that we don't have to wait as long as we waited between StarFox Zero and this game. And I am a fan of StarFox Zero. It's not just the weird control scheme of that game that kind of was a turnoff for people. You know, the use of the Wii U gamepad and it being less traditional. Yeah, that was definitely a detriment, but it was obviously also rushed, and Platinum Games didn't get to realize their full vision for the game. Got this from my brother a long time ago. They're also selling for crazy prices on eBay. I'm just glad that Star Fox Fever is back. As for the game itself, it would be nice to just do a really quick little review. It runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second for gameplay, 30 frames per second for cutscenes. The paths are largely similar. There's a few little changes here and there, such as mostly in sort of the cutscenes and some pieces of dialogue that might have been changed or altered. A funny thing, now you can't go to Titania unless you actually lose to Spyborg in Sector X. You're kind of gated from going to Titania, I guess, because they didn't know how to bridge the whole Slippy getting knocked into space thing. What else? I guess your allies are a little bit better at fighting off Starwolf. Oh, that's cool. Oh, online was a lot of fun. I played probably about 5 hours of it, and it's very skill-based. I actually played with Mewtwo King in a lobby with him for about 15-20 minutes. That was really cool. I dropped in on his stream to say hi, too. I really don't have much negative to say about the game. If you are already a fan of Star Fox 64, then you already know what kind of package this is going to be, and I guess the big question then would be, is it worth $50? And I would say it is worth $50 not just for the quality of the game itself, but as a future investment into this franchise. Now, I do know that Nate the Hate rumored that there might be sort of a two-part, I think it might have been Nate, or maybe it was Nash, one of those leakers, that there is a second Star Fox game in the works as well. More of an adventure-style game, and that would be really cool. But I say, regardless of what kind of game we're going to get, I really want to see this franchise continue. And I would like it very much if people put their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and just went out and bought this game. just for once, just go out and buy the game that Nintendo actually poured a lot of heart and soul into and kept the hardcore gameplay and all that. You know, because this game, Star Fox Assault, sold less than 500,000 copies. I think it was less than 400,000 copies, which is just paltry. I think this one sold over 4 million. Like, we can do a little bit better than that, you know. Maybe Star Fox Adventures kind of soured them. It only sold, I don't know, 1.2 million or whatever it was. But to the haters, this game and this game are incomplete realizations of the full vision that is this game. I just can't tell you how amazing it is. Unless you've played it yourself, if you've seen it in action, then that's great. But actually feeling the force feedback, because the HD rumble is no joke in this game. They have really gotten the sort of feel of it just right. Hi, it's me again, a couple hours later. There was a couple of things I did actually want to address. First off, they now don't take a life away when you hit continue. So you can kind of get through the game by restarting from either the checkpoint or the start of the level and have no consequences. Keep all your lives, keep all your lasers. I understand why they did this for like the newer, younger players, but it would have been nice to kind of have an option to like turn that off if you want the original challenge. And I think probably the most egregious omission is a lack of local split screen multiplayer. And I know that there is the co-op mode, which is a lot of fun. I really enjoy the co-op mode. Although I wish that the player controlling the ship could actually use the Pro controller as opposed to just like being stuck using two Joy-Cons. But the mouse mode actually works really well. I don't think that people will necessarily be doing like challenge runs with it, but I found that it actually does help a lot in some stages, such as Area 6, where you can move and shoot in completely different directions. So I think there is a lot of potential for high score runs, like in a cooperative category. And the mouse controls in general are pretty okay. I don't really like sort of the ergonomics of the Joy-Con, and I do have the D brand kill switch grip. I think that it would be a great option for, let's say, parents who want to play with their kids, or just people who've never played the game before. The co-op is kind of like a gateway drug into the game, I'd say. I know there are a lot of people who have had issues with the realistic designs of the characters and changes and dialogue, but I really don't have that. I mean, I could like nitpick little things here and there, like, you know, maybe Falco's legs look a little weird, or there are a couple of instances that I think could have used a little work. The first one is the end of Macbeth, where when you hit the switcher, the cutscene plays out pretty quickly. In the original game, it's like a cacophony of chaos. You know, you've got the pillars falling out of the sky, the columns jutting out of the ground, the guy trying to scoop you up, and you're there trying to shoot the switcher. It's like extremely intense moment. You know, music is hit a crescendo. As soon as you hit that switcher, right, goes to silence. You see the track switch over, and then you just hear the screeching of brakes, and the guy's like, "No, hit the brakes! I can't stop it." Now it's just like a little bit of they quickened it a little bit. And I was like, this is probably one of the most significant and cinematic moments in the entire story. Like, they pretty much nailed it the first time. I would just, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. One of those kinds of things. And the other moment, the very ending of Venom 2, and you know what I'm talking about, right? It's not necessarily ruined, but they put a voice modulation on James, and one of his lines is changed, where he says, "You've become strong, Fox," and in the N64 version, he says, "You've become so strong, Fox," and it just lingered for a second, you know, just like. Ooh. And in the N64 version, they had this sort of intense music as you're escaping. Now they play this sort of a melancholic tune, and I think it does work really well. But it does sort of change the mood a little bit. I mean, honestly, like, those are like the nitpickiest of nitpicks. It's really hard for me to give this game anything other than a perfect score. Also, I would really love to see some DLC for this game. I think that they could even do the entirety of the SNES StarFox as additional levels if they wanted to. Anyhow, I've got to run. Got a long drive today, so thank you for joining me, and I really hope you go out there, buy StarFox for Switch 2, even if you don't have Switch 2, do a barrel roll. All right, peace out. And one last thing, go watch A Fox in Space if you haven't already. It's excellent. And don't get too cocky, StarFox.